Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, wherever you're watching from. This is about the Seychelles elections. So yesterday, the beautiful island, the Seychelles, held elections between two main political rivals. So we've got the LDS and then we've got the United Seychelles Party. So these elections were held off yesterday, and the people of the Seychelles have spoken. So the people of the Seychelles have spoken, and yet their voices have produced not one leader yet, because there's a political deadlock. As we all know, according to the political landscape, both parties need to reach at least 50% plus one, and neither of the two political parties have crossed that 50%. So that means automatically the two political parties will have to go through a rerun. Now, I'm not sure whether the date has been set yet. So this now sets the stage for a second and decisive battle. So if we look at the first round of the 2025 presidential election, we've got preliminary results here. So according to the Electoral Commission of the Seychelles, they've confirmed that Mr. Patrick Herminie, the leader of the US party, has taken the lead with 48.8% of the vote. And then we've got the incumbent president, who is Mr. Ramkalawan, the LDS party, who followed closely with 46.4%. So there's a deadlock, basically, which I don't think this has ever happened in the history of the Seychelles. So this is a very first, and this has gotten a lot of people excited. This has gotten a lot of people worried and anxious. But I think what will decide this, obviously, will be the undecided voters. So this is more than just a contest of two men. So this is a clash between two different sets of visions here. So we've got the US party, we've got the LDS party. Now, this man, the incumbent, Mr. Ramkalawan, if you listen to what he said during the campaign, he was very sure and very certain that this was his victory. So if you listen to this little clip I'm going to post here just now, he is very clear. He was very certain that come Sunday, come today, he's the one that was going to take this seat
if given a second term.
I want to say to Patrick Herminie, please wake up from your dream, because on Sunday it is we who will celebrate victory.
And I'm sure he must be disappointed as a person, as a party. And this is a wake-up call, really. So let's look at what has happened within the parliamentary results. So the United Seychelles managed to secure 20 seats in the National Assembly, while Ramkalawan's LDS dropped to 15 seats. So you can see, like in most of the other countries, I think what normally determines the presidential victory, it's mainly the seats at the parliamentary level. And we've seen it happen, we've seen it play out even in the United Kingdom, where other smaller parties begin to get these seats. And that is normally a clear indication there's a shift in the political realm that suggests that people are either not happy with what is currently happening, or they are increasingly growing dissatisfied with the way politics is happening. So similarly in the Seychelles, I suppose people are not currently happy with the current government. And this is a clear indication through the parliamentary votes, as we can see. And I remember when this man, Mr. Ramkalawan, became the president, there was jubilance. People were excited. People were happy with the change. But I think over the years, people have increasingly grown dissatisfied with the way things have been run, the high cost of living within the Seychelles. There's a lot of corruption, believe it or not. As small as the country is, the corruption is rife. And we've seen it even from the US party. The US president himself has been saying this is one of the issues when he comes into office. This is one of the main thorny subjects that he will have to deal with, which is to stamp out corruption. And Herminie seems to have struck a chord with the people. I think his rhetoric, the way he's come out, his campaign, and the way he's rallied people behind him, I think this is something that has always scared the LDS party. And they knew it. They knew it. This was a strong man that was going to come into it and rally people by presenting himself as a stronger defender of sovereignty and social justice. So these are things that this man appears to be strong on. You know, he seems to be rallying a lot on social justice and particularly fighting corruption. This is one of the things that he's promised to do. And we'll see whether this is something that's going to happen for him. Now, why does the Seychelles election matter within the African political landscape? Now, Seychelles is only a very small country of about slightly over 100,000 people. And by the way, this is where my wife comes from as well. She's from the Seychelles, Seychelles, beautiful people. I love the Seychelles, absolutely lovely people. Being an Anglican priest, he's very well spoken. He's very confident in his approach, in his resolve. But whether or not that will work in his favor, this is something that we'll have to see in the next rerun. And I think has been the international face of the Seychelles, obviously being the incumbent. He's been engaging with partners. He's carried out a lot of foreign missions with France, India. He's cut good deals for the country. And he's presenting himself as a steady hand. And that is something I think that we can give applause to. You know, he's been a person with a steady hand, and which sometimes this steady hand, it can appear to be too cautious, especially when people are demanding boldness. So all of those things, these are things that people have to give him as a plus, you know. But whether or not he exercises the same things with his own local people in terms of equality and justice, this is something that obviously the local people of the Seychelles have to judge and decide for themselves. So Mr. Herminie seems to be dwelling a lot more on the nationalistic vision, which is to ensure that as a country, they rely on their own funding of the loans, funding their own businesses. And so he's more or less looking at solutions within the Seychelles rather than Mr. Ramkalawan, who always seems to be running out of the country to look for outside solutions, whether it's things to do with the IMF or the World Bank. I think if we look at other African countries, such as the Sahel, it's very clear. I think the more people want to see this kind of self-reliance, you know, the self-sustainability of it comes to managing resources. And the reason why the Sahel states, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have done so well is because they've kind of stopped looking for help from the outside world, whether that is the IMF, whether it's to do with the World Bank, and they've recently kicked out the French from their own countries. And so this is something that has given the Sahel region that much confidence to be able to gain control of their resources, and this is a good thing. So I think with the leader of the opposition leader, Mr. Herminie, seems to have struck a chord in that sense. So, which is a good thing, and we'll see how that plays out. But I can see currently the indication is that there's a lot of jubilation. You know, on the streets, there's a lot of jubilation. I think this is very unsettling for the incumbent, Mr. Ramkalawan. He must be thinking, oh my God, I had this right under my belt. Okay, he was very positive. The man was very positive. As we've seen in that video clip, he was so sure he had grasped this election and this was his to win. But boy, did he get it wrong. So we are yet to see, like in politics, I've always said, you know, I always equate it to football in a way. There are always those last minute surprises, and who knows. But for now, we are still waiting for that rerun. And I'm sure this is a very critical time, and the battle is not over until it's over. So until then, we'll see you next time. Ciao.